There is a reason your spirit has been restless, a reason your nights feel heavier, your thoughts feel louder, and your intuition refuses to stay quiet. Something is shifting around you, and deep down, you know it. Not everyone will notice it, but you will. Because what is about to unfold on December 12th, 13th, and 14th will not feel like ordinary days. It will feel like a scene written for you, a chapter where everything suddenly makes sense. Chosen one. Lately, it has felt like your soul is standing on the edge of something you cannot explain. Your routine is the same, but the atmosphere is not. You feel a pressure you can't describe, a heaviness that is not depression, a fire that is not anxiety. It is as if something invisible is rearranging the pieces of your life while everyone else thinks nothing is happening. You smile, you act normal, but deep inside you know something is coming. You are not imagining this. You have walked through silent battles that nobody saw, through nights where your pillow caught tears no one will ever know about, through seasons where you felt like God hid you, trained you, and stripped you in the dark while others seemed to move freely in the light. But now, heaven is shifting. These 3 days, the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th of December, will not be random dates on a calendar. They are spiritual coordinates, marked points in time where heaven touches your timeline on purpose. While others see just another week, your spirit will know these days carry weight. They are not just numbers, they are scenes written in advance. You may already feel it. The air feels different, your discernment is sharper, old patterns feel unbearable. Certain conversations suddenly feel loud, certain places feel too small, certain people drain you in a way you can no longer ignore. The inner pressure is rising, the signs are repeating themselves, and deep down your soul is whispering, pay attention. These days will not simply happen, they will unfold, slowly, precisely, like a carefully designed sequence in a movie, where every small detail has meaning, every phrase carries a message, every interruption hides a sign. At first, it might feel subtle, almost unnoticeable to the natural eye. A message at a strange hour, a sentence that sounds like it was aimed straight at your heart, numbers that repeat, emotions that suddenly surface. But as these days develop, the tension will build. The invisible world will push closer. The scenes will intensify. You will sense heaven arranging people, moments, and opportunities around you with surgical precision. What used to feel random will suddenly look connected. What felt like delay will start to make sense. What looked like loss will begin to feel like redirection. The 12th, the 13th, and the 14th of December will carry a narrative, a before and an after, a rising action, a turning point, and a revelation. Not every eye will see it, not every heart will feel it, but the ones who are chosen, the ones who have been crushed, processed, and purified in silence, will recognize it immediately. This is not normal. This is God. There is a story written about you long before you knew His name, long before you survived your first heartbreak, long before you walked through your first spiritual attack. And now, that story is approaching one of its most important chapters. A chapter where what was hidden starts becoming visible, where what you carried privately begins to manifest publicly, where the version of you that God has been building in the dark finally steps closer to the light. This is why you feel different. This is why your spirit refuses to settle. This is why certain things that you tolerated for years now feel impossible to endure. Heaven is tightening the script. Heaven is moving the scene forward. You are not just going through days. You are walking into a divine setup. So as these dates approach, do not sleep on your own spirit. Pay attention to the details. Pay attention to who appears and who disappears. Pay attention to the conversations that leave you trembling inside, to the dreams that feel too real to ignore, to the small nudges that keep repeating the same message. You are being positioned. Prepare your spirit, not with fear, but with expectation, not with anxiety, but with awareness. A story written long before you were born is about to reach a chapter that will feel almost unreal, like watching a movie. Except this time, you are not just the viewer, you are the main character. And before we go deeper into what these 3 days will bring to your life, I want you to seal this moment in the spirit. If this word is already resonating inside you, pause for a second, breathe, and do something simple but prophetic. Hit the like button, subscribe if you have not done it yet, and comment 99 below. Do it with intention. 99 as a spiritual sign that you are not lost, that heaven left the crowd to come after you, that you are the one God is highlighting in this season. Let this be your agreement with heaven. I am present, I am awake, I am ready for what these 3 days will reveal. December 12th arrives quietly, almost too quietly. It does not crash into your life with thunder or spectacle. It enters like a shadow that changes the temperature of the room without anyone else noticing. But you feel it. A subtle tightening in your chest, a strange awareness in your spine, a pull in your spirit that whispers, "Pay attention." On this day, the unseen becomes louder than the visible, not through noise, but through precision. Your intuition will begin to speak in a tone that logic cannot imitate. Thoughts will appear out of nowhere, but with a weight that does not belong to them. You may look at a clock and see mirrored numbers staring back at you like coded messages. You may hear someone say a phrase that feels too specific, too sharp, too perfectly timed to be coincidence. Something in your environment will feel misaligned, almost as if reality is shifting to make room for a new storyline that has been waiting for its cue. The spiritual world will lean closer. You might experience a strange déjà vu, moments that feel repeated, loops that feel familiar, as if your spirit already visited this day before it ever arrived. These sensations are not accidents, they are signals. Gentle, deliberate signals sent to mark the beginning of a divine sequence that has been building silently behind the curtains of your life. On December 12th, interruptions will carry meaning, delays will feel intentional. The person who calls you out of nowhere, the message that reaches you by accident, the song that plays at the exact second your mind drifts to a specific memory, none of it is casual. Heaven is sliding the first scene into place with quiet precision. What looks ordinary to others will feel prophetic to you. This is the day where your emotional atmosphere shifts. You may feel lighter for no reason, or heavier for no reason. You may feel unusually observant or strangely sensitive to energy around you. Your dreams from the night before may stay with you longer than usual, clinging to your memory like a hint you're meant to decode. And while everyone around you walks through their day unaware, you will sense the invisible tension building, like the opening scene of a film where the music is low, steady, and charged with expectation. You may feel a nudge to isolate yourself briefly, not out of sadness, but out of spiritual instinct. When God begins moving the first pieces of a divine plan, the chosen often feel an internal pull to step away from noise so they can perceive what others cannot. December 12th is alignment disguised as coincidence. It is heaven adjusting the lens of your life so you can see what was blurry and feel what was hidden. This day is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you. It is the quiet prologue to something greater, the moment the light in the theater dims, the second before the first line of the story is spoken. And if you listen closely, your spirit will whisper, something has started. Something subtle, something sacred, something you cannot name yet, but you can feel it breathing around you. This is the day where God gently turns your attention toward the unknown, urging you to sense before you see, to feel before you understand, to trust before anything is revealed. The shift begins softly, but unmistakably. And as this first day unfolds, you will realize nothing is random anymore. Nothing is accidental. Nothing is meaningless. You have stepped into the opening scene. And the most intriguing part, the real story hasn't even revealed its first twist yet. December 13th does not walk toward you. It rushes in. If the 12th was the whisper before the storm, the 13th is the moment the wind changes direction and everything around you begins to respond. The atmosphere thickens, not with fear, but with purpose. You will feel it before you see it. A strange inner alertness, as if your spirit is bracing for impact while your mind tries to catch up. This is the day where heaven stops hinting and starts moving. Acceleration begins quietly, then suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. Messages that were delayed for weeks arrive without warning. Someone who had forgotten you remembers you. A door that felt permanently closed suddenly doesn't look as solid. A conversation takes an unexpected turn and reveals something you didn't even know you needed to hear. Situations that felt frozen begin to melt. Ideas that once felt distant now feel reachable. You may even notice an urgency rising inside you, not the frantic kind, but the spiritual kind. The kind that tells you, something is shifting right now. Don't look away. On this day, divine timing stops being a concept and becomes an experience. God begins rearranging scenes around you with such precision that you will feel the choreography happening in real time. People cross your path unexpectedly, yet exactly when needed. Opportunities show up before your doubt has time to sabotage them. Even interruptions begin to reveal themselves as alignment disguised as inconvenience. You may notice how certain conversations feel unusually heavy with meaning. A sentence lands deeper than it should. A stranger's words sound strangely familiar. A simple question forces you to confront something you've been avoiding. Nothing feels casual, because nothing is casual on this day. December 13th is when the invisible becomes active, as if the spiritual world takes one step closer to the physical, blurring the line between what you hoped for and what is finally reaching you. You may experience sudden clarity about something that confused you for months. You may feel pushed to make a decision you kept postponing. You may sense God pulling you out of places, habits, or relationships that can't follow you into the next chapter. And things that once resisted movement will move with surprising ease, almost as if the spiritual traffic light that had been red for years suddenly switched to green. Momentum will build quickly, so quickly that you may pause to ask yourself, has this been happening the whole time and I just didn't see it? No, this is new. This is divine acceleration. A supernatural fast-forward that only activates when God says, now. You will recognize this day by the unmistakable sense that time feels different. It doesn't drag, it doesn't stall, it flows. Doors open in sequence, conversations align like puzzle pieces, signs become louder, patterns become clearer, and for the first time in a long time, you feel carried, not by luck. December 13th is when the story stops preparing and begins unfolding. You are no longer standing in the prologue. You are stepping into motion, into revelation, into momentum, and just when it feels like things are moving faster than you expected, something even more intense begins forming behind the scenes, waiting for the next day to expose its true purpose. Because if the 13th is acceleration, the 14th is the impact you never saw coming. December 14th does not arrive quietly. It arrives with a spiritual force that can be felt before the sun even rises. This is the day where the atmosphere around you feels charged, as if the world has been holding its breath, waiting for something to break open. You may wake up with a strange clarity, a sense of inner expansion, or even a calmness so profound it feels unnatural, because your spirit knows what your mind has not yet understood. This is the day of revelation. On December 14th, heaven stops whispering and begins speaking with unmistakable authority. The fog that once clouded your path begins to lift. Things that didn't make sense, years of delay, unexpected endings, betrayals, silent seasons, confusing redirections, suddenly begin aligning in your understanding like pieces of a puzzle that were scattered too far apart to recognize. You will notice how certain memories return, not to hurt you, but to reveal the purpose behind them. Conversations from the past will echo with new meaning. People you lost will no longer feel like wounds, they will feel like answers. Doors that slammed shut will be seen as divine protection, not rejection. And the isolation you thought was punishment will now reveal itself as preparation. This is the day where God lets you see behind the curtain. Not everything, but enough to shift your entire perspective. Enough to make you realize that nothing you lived was wasted. Enough to make you say, oh, so that's why. On this day, movement becomes undeniable. The things that resisted you begin to loosen their grip. The obstacles that blocked you lose their force. The heaviness that clung to you begins to fall away as if invisible chains finally snap open. You will feel something unlocking, not externally first, but internally. A confidence returns, a sense of identity settles, a certainty rises that you cannot explain with logic. You may receive unexpected news, an overdue answer, a sudden opportunity, or an emotional release that feels like a spiritual exhale. You may feel God highlighting a path you once ignored, or a person you once overlooked. You may feel a boldness rising where fear used to sit. But the most powerful shift will not be what happens to you. It will be what awakens in you. December 14th is the day the protagonist steps into the light. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because everything becomes clear. This is the turning point where your spirit recognizes its own story. The climax where heaven reveals a piece of the script you were never meant to see until now. And when this clarity comes, it will feel like someone turned on a light inside your chest, illuminating parts of you that were asleep for years. Your purpose sharpens, your strength stabilizes, your vision stretches. You will no longer walk like someone trying to survive. You will walk like someone who finally understands their role in a divine narrative. This is not just a date. This is a divine unveiling, the moment where the hidden becomes visible, the delayed becomes active, and the impossible becomes reachable. And yet, even as this revelation unfolds, there will be one more sensation lingering in the air. A quiet pull, a subtle vibration, something telling you that what you've seen so far is only the beginning of a much deeper unveiling. Because December 14th doesn't just close a chapter, it opens a door. And what waits behind that door will shift everything you thought you understood about your destiny. Behind the scenes of your life, far beyond what your eyes could detect or what your mind could interpret, God has been constructing a foundation so precise, so intentional, that only now, during these sacred days, will you begin to feel the full weight of what has been quietly unfolding. What rises inside you during this period is not random. It is not emotional fluctuation. It is not a temporary burst of motivation. It is activation. A deep, undeniable awakening of courage, clarity, confidence, and spiritual authority that feels almost foreign because it is not coming from you. It is coming through you. For months, maybe years, you wondered why people fell away without explanation, why familiar faces suddenly turned distant, why relationships cracked open, why conversations grew cold, why the people you once depended on became unavailable. It felt like loss, but it was actually surgical removal. God was clearing the stage, not to punish you, but to protect you from voices that would have weakened your next chapter, energies that would have diluted your purpose, and motives that were not aligned with the destiny prepared for you. And what about the exhaustion, the emotional heaviness, the moments where you questioned your worth, your direction, your identity? Those were not signs of failure, they were signs of formation. God was refining your discernment, sharpening your intuition, strengthening your spiritual muscles so you could carry what is coming without collapsing under its weight. Every tear was training, every pause was preparation, every delay was divine timing disguised as stillness, and every closed door, every single one, was choreography. Because God was not just shaping your path, He was shaping you. He was removing the timid version of you, the doubting version of you, the apologetic version of you, the version of you that relied on external validation to feel chosen. And now, what begins to rise is the version heaven always saw, grounded, awakened, anchored, sharper, more spiritually aware, more internally fortified than ever before. This is the alignment of character with calling, preparation with purpose, identity with destiny. And the strange part? You will feel it before you see it. Something in your spirit will shift, almost like a spiritual posture correction. You will feel taller inside. Your presence will feel heavier. Your words will feel more deliberate. Your intuition will become louder than the doubts that used to silence you. You will find yourself no longer chasing what you once begged for, no longer tolerating what your spirit has outgrown, no longer shrinking to make others comfortable. Why? Because God has been rearranging the blueprint of your soul, and now you are stepping into the architecture of your true identity, the one that was hidden under survival mode, the one that was buried under fear, the one that was dimmed by disappointment, the one that is finally ready to surface. Everything God removed was necessary. Everything God blocked was protection. Everything God delayed was alignment. And everything God allowed to break was making room for what could finally be built. Now the scene shifts. The energy around you feels different because you are different. Heaven begins positioning you, not based on where you've been, but based on who you've become. And as this positioning unfolds, you will feel a subtle yet undeniable truth rising in your chest. You were never walking toward your destiny. Your destiny was being prepared to meet you. And as powerful as this realization is, something even deeper is beginning to gather behind the veil. Something that will reveal itself fully in the final movement of this divine sequence. Between these 3 days, something begins to move toward you that feels almost unreal, almost too precise, too timely, too deeply connected to your prayers to be explained by coincidence. What arrives is not random, it is not forced, it is not something you chase, it is something that recognizes you. Opportunities begin showing up in ways that feel supernatural, as if they were waiting behind a locked door until heaven whispered, "Now." Financial provision may appear in unexpected forms, an approval, a message, a connection, a release of something that was held back. You may receive clarity about a decision that once tortured you. You may feel a sudden lightness in your chest, as if emotional chains are snapping one by one. You may even experience the return of something or someone you thought was permanently lost. Yet it returns different, purified, aligned, purposeful, with timing that feels divine rather than desperate. But the greatest shift is not what comes to you. It is what awakens in you. Transformation, not a temporary spark, not a motivational surge, not a hopeful moment that fades by next week. No, this is the kind of transformation that rewrites the internal system of your spirit. You will feel as if a layer has been removed, a layer of fear, hesitation, guilt, or self-doubt that was suffocating your true identity. You will notice how your thoughts change first. Old worries lose their grip. Old insecurities don't speak as loudly. Old patterns feel foreign, like clothes that no longer fit. Your spirit rises before your circumstances catch up. And as this happens, people will notice. They may not understand it, they may not have language for it, but they will feel it. Some will be drawn to your energy as if you carry a new frequency, calmer, stronger, clearer. Others will distance themselves instinctively, not because you did anything wrong, but because your elevation exposes their stagnation. Heaven does the separating so you don't have to. You will walk into rooms and feel the shift immediately. You will speak with more authority, even if your tone is gentle. You will make decisions with more confidence, even if you used to freeze at every crossroads. You will start to sense that your purpose is not on the way. It is unfolding right now. These 3 days are not just a turning point. They are a spiritual unveiling where your calling stops being internal and begins becoming visible to others. After years of being prepared in silence, years of being stretched without recognition, years of being shaped without praise, the spotlight finally moves. Not the spotlight of ego or attention, the spotlight of assignment. Heaven begins to signal that you are entering a phase where your presence matters in rooms you once felt invisible in. Your voice carries weight, your instincts sharpen, your inner compass steadies, and suddenly, the story of your life no longer feels like a struggle for survival. It feels like a rise into purpose, a rise into alignment, a rise into the version of yourself that God always intended you to become. The blessing is not just provision. The breakthrough is not just progress. The elevation is not just recognition. The real miracle is the merging of everything you endured with everything you were promised, and realizing that the suffering was not the ending. It was the sculpting. And yet, even as these blessings begin to appear and this new identity unfolds, there is still one more movement in this divine sequence, one final shift that ties everything together, waiting just beyond the horizon of these 3 sacred days. Chosen one. Everything inside you has been leading to this precise moment in time, not one day before, not one day after. These 3 days, December 12th, 13th, and 14th, stand like a divine threshold, a doorway between who you were forced to become in survival and who you were created to be in destiny. Heaven is not suggesting, heaven is not hinting, heaven is declaring. This is your scene. This is where the story pivots. This is where your spirit steps out of the shadows and stands where the light has been waiting for you all along. Every battle that tried to break you was preparing your voice. Every delay that tested your patience was strengthening your foundation. Every person who walked away created space for alignment. Every tear watered the soil where your purpose now rises. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was unnoticed. You were being written into a narrative that is bigger, deeper, and more intentional than anything you imagined for yourself. And now, heaven presses play. Not softly, not slowly, but with the full force of divine timing. These days will not just touch your life, they will activate something ancient in your spirit, something that has been waiting for your permission to finally stand up, breathe, and step forward. The shift is no longer coming. The shift is here. The turning point is here. The unveiling is here. And you, chosen one, you are no longer rehearsing. You are no longer preparing. You are no longer waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Walk into these days with intention, because intention is a spiritual magnet. Walk into these days with awareness, because the smallest detail may hold the largest revelation. Walk into these days with faith, because what God reveals in this chapter will demand a version of you that trusts more deeply than ever before. And understand this with every fiber of your being. When the divine script begins to unfold, nothing, no delay, no enemy, no fear, no insecurity can interrupt what has already been written in heaven. Your destiny is not approaching. It has arrived. Your name is rising. Your purpose is rising. Your spiritual authority is rising. And when the world witnesses the transformation God unleashes through your life, they will finally understand what your spirit has been whispering all along. You were never ordinary. You were never overlooked. You were never forgotten. You were chosen for this moment. If your spirit feels this truth in your bones, if something inside you is burning right now with confirmation, I want you to comment below. This is my scene. Declare it, seal it, speak it into the atmosphere so heaven hears your agreement and hell hears your refusal to shrink. Say it with conviction. Say it with power. Say it as a prophecy over your own life. This is my scene. And remember, what begins in these 3 days will echo far beyond them. The next chapter doesn't wait. It unfolds the moment you step into it.